Herndon, Virginia is the kind of place where the lawns are always mowed and the streets feel inherently safe. It's a quiet pocket of the DC suburbs where people move specifically for the stability. Brendan Banfield was a federal agent for the IRS, an investigator trained to spot deception. He lived in one of these homes with his wife, Christine, a pediatric nurse, their young daughter, and a live-in au pair from Brazil. But on a February morning in 2023, that stability vanished. Police entered the master bedroom to find two people dead. Christine had been stabbed, and a man she didn't seem to know was shot. Brendan claimed he had walked in on a home invasion and fired his weapon to protect his wife. To pull off a trick, a magician has to control where you look. They use a flourish or a sudden movement to pull your eyes away from what's actually happening. In a crime scene, digital tools can work the same way, creating a loud, distracting story to hide the physical truth. A digital story can be rewritten or deleted to fit a narrative, but the physical world is governed by laws that aren't so easily manipulated. No matter how many online trails a person creates, the physics of the room will eventually show where the strings are hidden. Detectives soon discovered that the stranger in the bedroom hadn't broken in. He had been lured there through a fetish website by someone using Christine's name. They had spent weeks messaging him, setting up a specific fantasy that required him to enter the house unannounced. When someone poses as another person online, they are essentially building a digital mask. But every time that mask is used, the system logs a record, an automatic receipt of exactly which device was used, what time it happened, and the digital address it came from. Those records created a massive divide within the police department. The logs showed that the messages were sent from Christine's own phone and laptop. For some, that proved Christine was behind the keyboard, but there is a limit to this data. It shows which machine acted and when, but it can't see who was physically pressing the buttons. Digital records are only one piece of the puzzle. To see past the mask, the investigators had to look at the physical evidence that couldn't be edited or spoofed. That search for the truth led them back to the master bedroom, shifting the focus from computer logs to the behavior of liquids. Blood drops falling straight down form perfect circles, but fast-moving blood hit surfaces at an angle, stretching into exclamation points. Brendan claimed his bloodstains came from rendering aid, but his clothes showed high-velocity spatter, proving he was standing inches away during the exact moment of attack. The physical evidence also told a story that Brendan's au pair couldn't hide. While Brendan had stabbed his wife and shot the stranger once, the ballistics showed a second gun was used. It was the au pair who fired the final shot into the victim as he lay on the floor. Digital zeros and ones can be rearranged to tell a lie, but the way a liquid travels through the air is a matter of science. You can't fake the physics of a violent room. In October 2023, the au pair, Juliana, was arrested. She spent a year in jail, isolated and facing a life sentence, before she realized her loyalty to Brendan was a one-way street. Prosecutors wait until the weight of a sentence settles in. They offer a choice. If one person agrees to tell the truth first, they get a path to freedom. But if they wait and the other person speaks first, that path disappears. Juliana took the deal. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter and agreed to testify against Brendan. In exchange, the prosecution promised to ask for a sentence of time served, meaning she would be released as soon as the trial ended. This gave the state a witness who could explain the entire plot. However, it gave the defense a powerful argument. Juliana's story wasn't driven by the truth, but by her desperate need to escape a jail cell. In January 2026, the case finally went to trial. Brendan did something most defendants are warned never to do. He took the witness stand to tell his own version of the story. He tried to hide behind the digital ambiguity, arguing the police couldn't prove he was the one using the laptop. But the jury was presented with the physical evidence on his clothes, and Juliana's testimony detailing how they had planned to get rid of Christine together. The jury didn't buy the illusion. They found Brendan guilty on all counts, and the judge sentenced him to 2 consecutive life terms in prison. With Brendan convicted, Juliana expected to walk out of court as a free woman. But while a prosecutor can suggest a sentence, they don't have the final say. A judge has the authority to look at the facts and decide if a deal is actually just. The judge pointed to the month of planning, the hung-up 911 call, and the final shot Juliana fired into the victim. Because of that active role, the judge rejected the time-served recommendation and sentenced her to 10 years in prison. There is no such thing as a perfect crime. You can mask your identity and manipulate your data, but you cannot delete the physical consequences of what you've done. Eventually, the real world demands an answer.